broad announcements, but we're short on details.
The Manitoba Teachers Society says they'd like more specifics regarding the education plan when it comes to Premier Brian Pallister's throne speech, and they'd like to pump the brakes on any major changes until this COVID-19 school year is done.
Teachers, being dedicated professionals, are feeling that level of anxiety, not to mention that within their own lives, they don't leave the COVID-19 pandemic when they go home at the end of the day.
On Wednesday, Pallister spoke about his proposed education reform.
Apart from perhaps from Duff Roblin's initiatives back in the 60s, this is the most ambitious undertaking in education improvement and enhancement, the K-12 level, that our province has ever seen.
One guarantee, an annual increase of over $1.6 billion more in education funding over the next 4 years. But the Teachers Society wants to know exactly where this money is coming from, since Pallister plans to phase out education property tax.
What will it be replaced with? Because you're talking about $850 million to $1 billion worth of revenue. If you're simply going to eliminate that from the public school system, that's going to involve dramatic cuts to public education in the province of Manitoba.
And while Pallister didn't reference cuts, he talked about restructuring.
There are resources that could be better put to use on the front lines to benefit our students in this province that right now are located far from the classroom.
Pallister says there is too much money being spent at the top. MTS once again disagrees.
School divisions, from our perspective, are relatively lean organizations as they are.
MTS says loss of overhead and potentially amalgamating school divisions could mean loss of local control, which he says sets all of Manitoba's 700 schools apart. MTS also raised flags about blended classrooms, with both remote learning and in-class learning taking place. They say Education Minister Kelvin Gertsen announced there wasn't going to be a blended learning model, and now they are worried it's back on the table.
You cannot have a teacher who is both effective in the classroom and effective teaching remotely at the same time. It quite literally is doing two very different jobs at the same time.
MTS says now is not the time to be discussing reform. The plan should be to get through this COVID-19 school year first. In Winnipeg, Mike Albanese, City News.